Om Shanti. In today's Murli, Baba is talking about Supersensuous Joy. In Hindi, it is called Atindriya Sukh. And in the scriptures, there is a description that the gopis and gopis who were in love with Sri Krishna experienced Atindriya Sukh. And Baba says that you are those gopis and gopis. And I am that God who is depicted as corporeal in the scriptures. And you experience supersensuous joy at this time. And it is your memorial which is cited in the scriptures in that form. And Baba today, so we will first understand what is supersensuous joy. So we only know pleasure. So in the world, we know sensual pleasure. So we have the senses of the body, and when those senses engage in, when we indulge our senses, then we experience sensual pleasure. So when you indulge your mouth in eating, or your ears in listening, and your eyes in seeing something, so it gives joy. Or the organs of the body are indulged in lust. So people connect that to joy, and people think that that's the concept of joy, and that's how you experience joy. And so we make a distinction here between sensual pleasure and supersensuous joy. So Baba says that we children are capable of experiencing supersensuous joy, that which has got nothing to do with senses and the indulgence of senses. So do you feel that even without indulging your senses, you can feel happy? Yes, so most people cannot think of that, and then some can. And it all depends on, Baba has given us everything, but how we use our gifts. So first I will make a reference to something else that Baba says in the Murli. And Baba today says, storms will definitely come. These 5 vices harass you a great deal. In the kingdom of Ravan, your intellects make you perform wrong actions because they become locked. Maya has put a lock on everyone. Each of you receives a third eye of knowledge at this time. Okay, so Baba today says that Maya makes us perform wrong actions because our intellects are locked. And Baba gives a third eye, which is kind of a key to the intellect. Now, what is a wrong action? So you see that if you talk to anybody, nobody performs a wrong action in his right mind. So everybody thinks the wrong action to be a right action. That's why you perform it. Yes, why would you perform a wrong action knowing it's a wrong action? Yes, so everybody does everything according to their knowledge. They do it right. But then why does it qualify as wrong action according to Baba? So first we have to understand this, and then we will connect it to the supersensuous joy. And when we talk about the intellect primarily performs 2 functions. discerning and deciding. So the intellect discerns what is what, who is who, good, bad, right, wrong, fair, unfair, good, right thing to do, wrong thing to do. So all the discernment is with the intellect, and then the intellect also takes a decision about what to do and what not to do. Now, when we are under the sway of vices, we look at the world very differently. So, what matters and what doesn't matter is very different. So, let's say your boss shouts at you, yes, and then your ego is hurt, and then you want to shout back at him, yes, but then is it a good idea to shout back even if your ego is hurt? So what matters is not whether you are you so so the sometimes you shout back at the boss because your ego is hurt badly and then you lose the job and then later you realize that I don't have any ego at all now because so there I lost the foundation of my ego and because of ego, and then I have nothing to lose now. So you are in that situation again. So you see that when we are under the sway of vices, we discern everything very differently. Then sometimes, I'll give you an opposite example of this, something which is very similar to the previous example. So let's say somebody is sabotaging your, so somebody is asking you to compromise on your purity and your ethics, and somebody is asking you to do something which Baba wouldn't ask you to do. So somebody is asking you to engage in something physical or something financial, some embezzlement, something. And then you are so afraid to lose your job that you give into it. Then that's also another vice. So, reacting when it's a small matter and not standing up for yourself when the matter is important. Both are the examples of a dysfunctional intellect. So, and people usually make the wrong choice in these two situations. So we get hurt, our ego gets hurt and we react in an improper manner, and then we create troubles in trivial matters. And where it really matters, we take it lying down because we don't have the courage to face or the power to, or we don't have the faith that doing the right thing will lead to the right result. And even if I have to pay in the way, it's okay, because anyways I will pay if I make the wrong choice. So if we don't have this, so why I'm giving you these examples is they are all functions of the intellect. And what you think is going on and what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing to do, it all depends on your intellect. And sometimes, somebody is making a joke and you get angry. And then sometimes they pretend to make a joke, but they are crossing the line and then you allow it. So you don't have the discernment to find out what's a joke and what is not a joke. So I have seen these things happen because this is how our intellect and the sharpness of our intellect. So 4 sentences were not objectionable, and then you you objected to it, and then the fifth one was objectionable, but you were so full of guilt about those four sentences that you didn't object to the fifth one, which was actually objectionable. So all of this goes on because we have a very dysfunctional, I wouldn't even say malfunctional, it's totally dysfunctional these days. It's very, very dysfunctional intellect, and that's how decision making and discernment is compromised. And then Baba says behind all of this is the five vices, and that is why in the picture of the soul you have a balance. So, a tarazu, a balancing scale, weighing scale in place to depict an intellect. So when there is the image of a buddhi, it's depicted as a balancing scale because you weigh things through your intellect. Right, wrong, good, bad, what matters, what doesn't matter, where to respond, where to react, whether you should, you shouldn't, how much to do, when to withdraw. All of this discernment takes place in the intellect, and it's all, you're constantly weighing this against that inside. And that's the intellect. And then you decide accordingly. And Baba says that this whole thing goes on internally, and when we are under the sway of vices, we make wrong decisions. Now, what is a wrong decision? So Baba tells in the Murli, so we perform wrong actions. Now, what is a wrong action? Wrong action is an action which looks like a good action at that time, but which has bad consequences. Okay, so wrong action immediately looks like a very good action. So you are offered a bowl of sweet, very tempting, and then you eat it all, and then halfway through the bowl, consuming the bowl, you start realizing what it's doing to your body. And that's an example of wrong action. So, we have this concept of sustainability in the world, and sustainability means you do something today and you don't repent it tomorrow. So if you do something today and you repent it tomorrow, that's not a right action. That's not a good action. So you cut trees, build houses, but tomorrow you don't have fresh air to breathe, and then you think about the day you cut trees and build houses, and that's how it goes. So immediately when we are under the sway of vices, lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed, we make decisions which we repent about later. So when we are talking about wrong actions, right actions is a very long-term thing, is not an immediate thing. So it's not like, so I felt like doing this and I did it. Okay, you did it, but there are consequences. So in that light, we are talking about wrong actions and right actions. And in Baba's Gyan, we are not only talking about wrong actions, right actions, which will look like, which will have consequences, physical and material in the future, but we are talking about spiritual consequences. And people, so most people are still unaware of spiritual consequences, but many people have started recognizing mental consequences. Yes, so many people realize today that the way they are leading their lives, they are on the verge of depression and anxiety or some other mental illness. And that's also related to the karma and the sanskars that we are creating. And then there are spiritual actions, spiritual consequences. Spiritual consequences means you, the soul, lose your character. So the soul loses the character, and then you don't have self-esteem, you are full of fear, and you don't have any sense of self-worth, and you don't know who you are, and you are in confusion about who you are, and then everybody can dictate to you who you are, and everybody can rub your ego the wrong way. So these are spiritual consequences. So becoming an empty soul day by day, a soul that has absolutely no self-worth, no purity, no peace, no happiness. And then it also manifests as a mental state where you are not able to function well in the brain. But then behind that, there's the decapacitation of the soul also. So Baba says, we are constantly discerning and deciding all through the day, and we're under the influence of vices. We are making choices and taking decisions and performing actions which are going to cost us in the long run. Yes, so uh, people operated under the sway of laziness during COVID lockdown, and they got really lazy, and now they are paying for it. So now when times are changing, you don't know how to deal with that. You don't know how to get up in the morning. You don't know how to organize yourself, because you took decisions under the sway of laziness and a lot of other sensual pleasure also. So Baba says that when you are under the sway of vices, you adopt the policy buy now, pay later. Do you like buy now, pay later installment system? So many people go for it because buy now looks very attractive. Pay later, you don't know. So you think pay later means don't pay at all, but pay later is there. And then there is an interest, and then it's very burdensome. So that's how it is going. And Baba today in the blessing talks about this supersensuous joy. So basically, if you ask anybody why they do what they do, they will give you one word, which is happiness. So we do everything because it makes us happy. And when we are talking about happiness, we are basically talking about sensual pleasure, and pleasure that comes from our ego being fed, or our lust being quenched, or our greed being given into, or our attachments being materialized. So all of that gives us a certain feeling which we call happiness. And we do it for happiness. And our idea of happiness is very, very distorted. Our happiness is related to these 5 vices these days. So sometimes, people will say that I shouted at that person and I feel very happy now because, that person was meddling with me for quite some time. And then today I shouted at that person very strongly, or, I made a big noise, and now I feel very happy. But then, is that happiness? So today you shout at one person, you create that sanskar of shouting, and you lost your virtue of keeping peace. So that's how we approach situations. So lust makes us happy, anger makes us happy, ego, greed, attachment. We give into these vices continuously and keep moving with that idea of pseudo happiness, which is again, you pay for it later, because these vices are emptying the soul, and then there is no soul power, and then you become miserable within yourself from day to day. So, do you understand that if you constantly engage in these vices, then they leave you very, very empty, and they leave you in the state of a slave. So, where you're always under the control of your senses to give you sensual pleasure. So, and then you are afraid that you might lose your sources of sensual pleasure. So, this is how it goes. Now, Baba talks about supersensuous joy. And supersensuous joy is, Baba, let me read out that the blessing for you, what Baba tells about supersensuous joy. So Baba says that the children who experience the supersensuous joy of the confluence age have the intoxication of the double attainment of always having peace and happiness. This is because both of these attainments are merged in supersensuous joy. The attainments you children have at the present time from the Father and the inheritance cannot be experienced at any other time of the whole cycle. The attainments of this time are supersensuous joy and knowledge, and they cannot be received at any other time. So claim a right to this double attainment. Now, what does this blessing mean? Baba says that right now we have two things with us in this confluence age. Baba has given us knowledge, and Baba has given us inheritance. So, Baba has given us knowledge about everything, and then Baba has given us peace, purity, love, happiness, power, bliss, everything. And when you are conducting yourself in this field of action, if you respond to every situation while using what Baba has given you, then what you will experience is supersensuous joy. Yes, so let me give an example which makes you understand that. So when your boss is shouting at you, in the first scene, if you shout back at him, then you have, you did a karma of getting angry. That makes you upset. Then the repercussions it has on your job makes you upset. So that's a wrong action. What is the right action? So sometimes, you don't shout back, but you move away from there, but you're very bitter inside. And then that's also not very good action, because you're not feeling okay inside. So how do you make it the right action? So when you hold in your buddhi, when you emerge this point of knowledge in your buddhi, that anybody who is performing wrong action is a weak soul. And a weak soul deserves compassion, not judgment. So you will be able to emerge compassion within yourself. And when you have compassion in yourself, you feel the supersensuous joy of being compassionate. And I will tell you one incident when there was someone shouting at me, and I was really bothered about they raising their blood pressure. And I offered them water midway. I said, why don't you just have a glass of water and then continue shouting? Because I think that's a good idea. Otherwise, I am very concerned you might shoot up your blood pressure. And then he saw the look on my face, and he saw that I was really concerned about his health, and then he stopped midway and he never shouted at me. because that's what happens when you are in supersensuous joy. What is supersensuous joy? The joy of knowing who you are, the joy of holding on to your virtues and your powers, the joy of knowing the dignity and royalty of being God's child, the joy of realizing that you are a future deity with divine virtues. And when you know this and you behave according to that, then your knowing and your karma both give you a happiness which doesn't make you an addict, but which is continuous and eternal. So that's a happiness which nobody can take away. That's a happiness which is not circumstantial. It doesn't depend on the change of weather and the change of behavior and the change of circumstances, because this is very, very private and personal to you. And then the happiness of doing the right thing gives you a combination of peace and happiness. So it's not a happiness which is very hormonal in nature, and your whole body is in in this hormonal movement, and that's not the kind of happiness you're feeling. It's a happiness which is peace and happiness, and you are absolutely peaceful and fully happy, and you don't laugh, you smile in this happiness. And that so it's not the manic depressive kind of extremity that you experience, but a very balanced, sustainable and prolonged happiness. So Baba says the happiness that comes from using what Baba has given us, so belonging to Baba and having the knowledge and the inheritance. So Baba has given us so much of inheritance right now. Baba has given us all that he has. And when we hold it in our buddhi that we are the direct children of God, and we have so much that Baba has given us, and try to use that in our action and interaction, then we will be able to live in this supersensuous joy. And so, are you experiencing supersensuous joy? So, when you refrain from doing the wrong thing, it gives you so much joy. Yes, and when you are able to emerge the right thing to do, it gives you so much joy. Just take some incidents, like somebody is doing the wrong thing. So somebody is normally in your old sanskar, you would get very irritated at that when you see that. But now you emerge this wisdom that I'm a soul and I'm a deity soul, and deities don't get irritated. So you just speak to that person in a very calm and respectful way, and your communication is good. And then just think about the happiness you feel after that. And that's the happiness that Baba is talking about. And that's what is supersensuous joy. It doesn't come from what somebody is doing to you or the situation is giving you. It comes from you conducting yourself as Baba's child. And even in the privacy of your mind. So when you are body conscious and under the sway of vices, you think thoughts and create feelings and have a commentary about the situations and behaviors and about your body and about your future, which is based on lack of knowledge. And then that takes away your happiness. The thoughts that you think in privacy, they take away your happiness. Or even if they give you pleasure, so sometimes your thoughts are based on lust or greed or something, and they are giving you pleasure, but then they are making you miserable eventually. So Baba says that when you churn on what Baba gives you, when you churn on the jewels of knowledge that Baba gives you, and churn on your future as a deity and churn on your qualities as a divine soul, then it gives you super sensuous happiness even in the privacy of your mind. So it's not just in action, but also when we are sitting alone and thinking about stuff, when we think about what the gifts and churn over the gifts that Baba has given us, it gives us super sensuous joy. So this is about it. And there is another thing that Baba tells today, and it's very important. Baba says, this is a very important examination. You have to become SathuPradhan from TamoPradhan. That is all. We have no connection with anyone else. The Father sits here and tells you the way to become SathuPradhan from TamoPradhan. Man Mana Bhav is also written in the Gita, but people don't understand the meaning of it. Now, what does this mean? So when you have a maths exam, you are only concerned with people who are good at maths. Yes, so if you have a maths exam tomorrow, you are not interested in your Hindi or your literature teacher. You are only interested in your maths teacher, because that's all you need to pass that exam. And Baba says, now we are at the threshold of a very big exam. And this exam, after this exam, the way we perform in this exam decides where we come next. So whether we go to Satyug or we come later on, or what status we get in Satyug, everything is decided by this exam. And what is that exam? The exam is our final moments. So the state of mind that we'll have in the final moments, that's the exam. And because everything that we're doing is for Antmate Sogati. What is Antmate Sogati? Yesterday also we discussed it. Our final thoughts lead to our final destination. So we are doing everything for that. And Baba says, until and unless you are pure, completely pure, until and unless you have cleansed yourself thoroughly of all the vices, you will fail in the final exam. And something or the other will happen which will upset you or disturb you in the final moments. So you have to take away the power from everyone and everything to be able to upset you or disturb you or excite you or, make you forget Baba. So Baba says, you have to become totally SathuPradhan, which is absolutely pure, clean of vices before the exam. And Baba says, I am the only one who can help you do that. So I am that maths teacher, okay? And there is nobody else who can make you SathuPradhan. So don't be interested in anybody's opinion, anybody's direction, because they are not going to help you become SathuPradhan. And now you can only pass that exam, which is very, very important, if you are SathuPradhan. And Baba says in the Gita also it is written Man Mana Bhav, that is, connect your mind to me. And Gita is called Bhagwanuvach. So God says, connect your mind to me. So Baba says, I am the speaker of the Gita, sermonizer of the Gita, and I'm telling you, just connect your mind to me. Just connect your buddhi to me. Do as I say. Don't think you are obliged to anybody if they are saying something which is against what I tell you. Okay, and Baba says you only have connection with me because you might listen to 10 people, but they are not going to help you out in your final moments. I am the only one who will be, who is giving you the knowledge and the power and everything to pass your final examination. So are you concerned about other people? and about, so be concerned about everybody, be bothered about everybody, but until they are in clash with Baba Srimad. Yes, so we are loveful, we are caring, we are very very nice people. We we like to engage and talk and be with people, but never cross the line of Srimad. And when there is a clash between their opinion and Srimad, then there is no thinking about it, there is no evaluating it. It is just, I have to stick to this and you can choose your own way. Yes, so that's how clear we have to be, because I'm a soul and my final examination is just around the corner, and I have to be very interested in what my teacher has to say, and no connection with anyone whatsoever. So we connect with everybody until they clash with Srimad. So, and when there is a clash, we choose Srimad categorically. That's very important. So, wife is important, child is important, husband is important, everybody is important. But when it comes to attachment and purity, there is no compromise. Okay, so there is no attachment. Purity is mandatory. So we have to think about these things. So there is a question. I had OCD, but now it's almost gone. But there is too much guilt that I don't know where it comes from. It sometimes prevents me to see the good qualities in me, and my thoughts run everywhere due to this. Can you please shed some light on it? So you see that any mental thing is an aspect of the brain, and brain is a part of the body, and you are a soul. You are not the brain, not the body. So even if my brain had, there were phases in the functioning of my brain where it was less than perfect, that doesn't make me less than, because I am a soul. Yes, so can you disengage from your brain and your body? So, there is this one person who always tells me, Didi, I forget things. And I don't have self esteem because I think I'm a forgetful person. So I told that person, you are not a forgetful person, you are a divine soul who has this little problem of forgetting things. So don't label yourself according to the quality of your brain or your body, because you are a soul and you have the capacity to be the ruler and make your brain and your body function and grow. So you can make it function better tomorrow, but only when you are in charge. So if you start identifying with your brain and your body, then they will make you lose your self-worth. But when you're in your self-worth, then you can make your brain function better and your body function better, because you are the master and you are powerful and you are okay. And then even if the brain forgets something, or it makes it go haywire sometimes, you can just tell yourself, calm down, this is not where you have to go, this is where you have to go. It's okay if I forgot 5 things, I remembered the 6th, and it is okay. And then move with dignity. And also, when God tells you, you are my most beloved child, don't allow anybody else to tell you otherwise. So there are many people who will send you the message that you're only as good as your brain or your body. But the one who is looking at the soul is telling me, I'm the most beloved child, so I am that. And he tells me that you are very, very unique in this whole world. So amongst all the souls of the world, You are very, very valuable. So don't forget that. And when you keep emerging this, then slowly, gradually, your brain and your body will also start supporting you, because when you're a good master, then the slaves work well. Yes, so they are your extension. They are somebody who Baba has and the drama has given you so that they can work for you. If you are a good master, they will be good to you. But it takes time to change this whole paradigm. So you have to be very consistent and patient in the whole process. Okay. Om Shanti.